Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, the 2nd of April 2020, which means it's the first Thursday in the month, which is a significant day for the Bridge Church in Redditch. I'm the Methodist minister at that church. My name's the Reverend Ruth Wilson, and I serve there alongside my Anglican colleagues, Father Glenn Redding and Mother Victoria Barlow. The first Thursday of the month is a significant day because that is when we have our church prayer walk. A small but happy band of folk who gather at the church and then take a gentle stroll along the Evesham Road in Redditch, just for around 40 minutes. And we talk as we walk, and then we stop and we pray. And we pray for businesses and schools and services and people. Sometimes when the weather is just too cold or whether there are just too few of us, we will often sit in the foyer of the church hall with a map and pray over the whole town, which is also a blessing. The church often joins in with the community at our local Headless Cross orchard. And on those occasions, we offer tea and coffee and cake, but we also offer prayer opportunities. And this prayer board is one of those resources which we have offered in the past. And so I thought for a virtual prayer walk today, it would be good to share with you how we pray and what we pray about. We are praying for a specific area, particularly Headless Cross in Redditch, but thinking about the whole town of Redditch. Of course, you may live somewhere completely different, and I invite you to take this prayer board and use it for a place that you know and love well and want to pray over. The candle is lit because Jesus, who is the light of the world, is always in our lives and in the world. And the hands represent the open hands of God, waiting to hear our prayers and hold them in his hands and find ways to answer those prayers through the love and the work and compassion of people in the world. This game might bear a resemblance to another game you might have in your loft, but I couldn't possibly comment on that. What I'm going to do is to take you around the board and stay on each of the squares and just keep a silence so that we can all pray our own prayers rather than me guide you in that prayer time, because in these unsettling days of COVID-19, we are all committed to communal prayers for healing, but also we have individual prayers too. So, of course, we start at go. We have no money to collect because it's not all about money. Hotels. Guest houses. UK charities. Shopping centres. This, of course, is a particular one to Redditch. Schools. And the work of schools, which, of course, is happening in people's homes at the moment. We give thanks for teachers. And we have nurseries and preschools. On this game, we have in the corner an opportunity to visit church. Nobody is behind bars. Nobody is obliged to stay. And next to the church, a pub, another community hub. So we pray for pubs and bars and clubs and restaurants. For scouts and guide groups. For takeaway restaurants who are providing a little sense of normality in these days. How long that can continue, we don't know, but we give thanks for takeaways and pray for their businesses. A personal favourite of mine, of course, coffee and cakes. Pray for those businesses who provide delicious morsels. I'm finding I'm having to make my own cakes at home and make my own coffee. I'm looking forward to be able to be going out and doing that out and about. Pray for the railway networks across the country. On this board, the doctors is actually a GP that we think about the GP surgeries, but of course in these days, let's extend that to hospitals, to nurses, to hospital porters, to the administrative staff, NHS, and to doctors and nurses across the world. We have a vets locally to us, and so we pray for that surgery and for others, because our animals will still get sick and need their vaccinations and don't know what's going on with just one walk a day. And dentists working in close proximity with people. I've wobbled because I've got to the other side of the board. This is the Headless Cross Community Orchard. This is a very local place for us. This is where this prayer board finds its way into the community very often. When we gather as a community in May at May Day and in September or October for the Apple Day, it is good for the church to be with the community as it sings and dances and crafts, and we offer hospitality. So let's pray for gardens and gardeners as well. Let me just get this straight. Nursing homes, sheltered housing and residential homes, for those three groups of places where the elderly and vulnerable make their homes. We pray for those who may feel bewildered and not understand, those who are caring for them, and for all of the complications that might come with caring for people who don't really understand what is going on. And here we pray for our local council. Today, though, let's think about not just our council, but councils across the country, and indeed our MPs, our members of Parliament, and we pray for Parliament, for the Prime Minister and his cabinet and their advisors. We've got shops here, food shops and hardware shops. We pray especially for the food shops who have had to face all sorts of abuse and difficulty in the last few weeks, and we give thanks that they continue to fill our shelves and manage our shopping. Pray for the work of the brigades, the Boys' Brigade and the Girls' Brigade. And all of those businesses which aren't mentioned here on the board, small businesses, large businesses. And it may be that there are people you know and love whose businesses will be forever changed as a result of COVID-19. And here in the opposite corner of the visiting church, we have the command to go to church. We don't command you, but we do invite you to come and visit us at the bridge when it is safe so to do. The Bridge Church on the Evesham Road in Redditch. On a Sunday, there are 3 acts of worship regularly at 9 o'clock, a spoken service at 10 o'clock, either a Eucharist or an informal family service. At 10:30, a Eucharist or informal family service. And at 10:30 in the hall, every week, a cafe congregation gathers. I'm going to try and turn this around without turning the camera off. And so we moved to chemists. Chemists, pharmacies, and let's think about people who are researching into the possible vaccine for COVID-19. Charity shops. Everybody has been lots of people have been sorting out cupboards and wardrobes and drawers. So when all of this is over, the charity shops are going to be blessed with bags and bags of donations. We have a charity shop which meets every week at the Bridge Church on a Thursday morning and a Friday morning, where you can always grab a bargain and grab a delicious piece of cake and a hot drink too. And there's always conversation and company there. We pray for churches across the country and across the world as it finds its way into being a new way of being church. The church is not buildings, of course. The church was always the people. But it is hard to be in fellowship when we are dispersed. So hold the churches, the people, the leaders, the worshippers and the prayers in your prayers, please. Bus station, as opposed to the railway station we had earlier. The local buses which are providing an essential service to get essential workers to and from work. So we thank them for making themselves vulnerable by dealing with the public day by day. And then we have 3 more boxes left. We have barbers and we have hair and beauty. Those little luxuries or maybe necessities that make us feel better after we've been pampered. It feels like we might not get pampered for a long time. But those businesses will be suffering. And overseas charities. So this is the virtual prayer walk from Headless Cross Methodist Church, actually from the Minister's Manse this morning. But I invite you to pray, to use this board however you would like it to be used. But when you do pray, when you do think about your community, your village, your town, your city, know that when you pray and ask God to hear your prayer is then safely placed in the hands of God, who hears our prayers. Amen.